What if the odds you're facing right now weren't fixed at all? What if they were written by someone else in a rule book you never saw? And with one small edit, you could shift them instantly into your favor. That's not mysticism, that's strategy. Transform your strategy. Instantly shift the odds in your favor. Say it out loud. Make it a promise to yourself for the next 10 minutes. Most people approach change like it's a lottery. They spend time hoping the right ticket falls into their hands. But strategy is not luck. Strategy is about the rules you use to evaluate opportunities, the filter you point at the world, and the tiny actions you take when the moment arrives. Change any of those three, and the math of your life starts to bend. You don't need more motivation. You need better filters and faster micro-actions. Look around. You play by rules absorbed from other people. Work hard, wait your turn, play safe. Those rules formed quietly. Family sayings, a culture of busyness, a mentor's offhand comment. They stacked up. They feel like facts. They aren't. They are assumptions disguised as truth. When strategy is built on assumptions, you will predictably lose ground to people who deliberately rewrite theirs. Here's the simplest diagnostic. Strategy fails when your internal rules are misaligned with the reality you want to create. If your rules assume scarcity, you'll only see competition. If they assume risk equals failure, you'll never take the move that produces a different outcome. The first job of strategic work is to reveal the rules you are obeying, the hidden contract between you and the world, and decide whether you made that contract willingly. How does that happen inside your head? Research in neuroscience and psychology gives us practical language for it. The brain doesn't process every detail of reality. It filters. It prioritizes. The reticular activating system, or RAS, acts like a spotlight operator inside your head. It chooses what to illuminate and what to ignore. When you buy a new car, suddenly you notice that model everywhere. You didn't create more cars, you changed what you paid attention to. This attentional filter is the operational lever that tilts probability. When you change what you're looking for, opportunities you previously missed become visible. That's why beliefs matter. Beliefs bias the spotlight. They don't conjure outcomes out of thin air, but they make you notice and act on things that increase the odds of those outcomes. Studies and experiments across fields illustrate this effect. Take a classic, often cited example from behavioral science. Hospital cleaning staff who were told that their work reduced infection rates produced measurable improvements in cleanliness and patient outcomes compared to staff who were not given that information. The point isn't supernatural, it's straightforward. When people perceive their behavior as meaningful and expectant of positive results, their focus sharpens and actions follow that focus. Research suggests attention plus intention changes behavior, and behavior changes results. History gives the same pattern at scale. Henry Ford didn't invent the automobile because he believed cars were impossible. He rewired assumptions about manufacturing, about scale, about who could own a car. He asked different questions. The result was not magic. It was systematic reframing of limits and a relentless focus on small, repeatable improvements. He shifted the game's rules, and the odds tilted. So if attention, belief, and tiny actions change outcomes, then strategy must be designed around those levers. The goal isn't blind positivity, it's tactical alignment, choosing what to notice, changing the internal instructions that produce that noticing, then taking the smallest possible action that builds momentum. That combination turns probabilities into favorably weighted outcomes. Now I'm going to give you tools you can use right away. Concrete moves, timed exercises, tactical scripts. Nothing mystical. All of it practical, testable, and repeatable. By the end of this first chunk, you will have rewritten at least one rule in your head and taken a micro-action that forces the world to respond differently. Before we dive, one small step. If you're ready to change the rulebook, drop "Changing Now" in the comments. That's your commitment. It's low friction, and it locks attention. Do it. Then keep listening. Step 1. Reality audit. This is the strategic X-ray. Take 3 minutes. Identify the 3 areas where you feel stuck the most: career, relationships, income, productivity, whatever weighs heaviest. For each area, write down the rule you believe governs it. Start with simple phrasing. To get promoted, I must blah blah blah. To build an audience, I have to. You're hunting for the sentence that arrests your movement. Those sentences are the rules. Next to each rule, write the evidence you use to justify it. Is it from your upbringing, a boss who said something once, a failed attempt you keep rehearsing? This matters because rules built from anecdote or fear are fragile. They can be rewritten. Rules built from rigorous data are harder to shift and likely less limiting. Now, pick the single rule that, if changed, would produce the biggest difference. Circle it. This is your strategic lever. You will spend the next set of exercises on this rule. Step 2. Flip the script. Once you've identified the limiting rule, create its opposite. Don't sugarcoat. Craft a strong, actionable statement that directly counters the old rule. If your rule is, I don't have enough credibility to pitch a new idea, flip it to, I have projects that deserve attention and I will present them. Make your flip specific and plausible. Avoid airy affirmations and aim for tactical assertions that prepare you to act. This is not wishful thinking. It's a cognitive rehearsal. Research suggests that rehearsed scenarios prime attention and readiness. Say your flipped statement out loud every morning for 1 week. Not as a mantra, but as a strategic briefing to your brain. When you speak it, imagine the exact next small move you will take if that statement were true. The internal rehearsal narrows your spotlight. You start noticing openings that match the new script. Step 3. Brick release. There's usually one heavy belief that functions like a brick in your pocket. A fear, a shame, or a story that weighs down decisions. Name it. Give it a color, a texture, a weight. The point isn't to feel bad about it. The point is to externalize it so you can let it go. Find a quiet spot. Close your eyes. Visualize picking up that brick. Feel its weight. Now imagine placing it on the ground and stepping away. You don't need to obliterate the brick. You just need to change your relationship to it. Replace that image with something light, a feather, a paper plane, a small lantern. Picture how your posture changes when the brick is gone. This guided visualization takes 5 minutes. It's not therapy. It's a mental decluttering ritual that frees cognitive resources for strategy. Studies on emotion regulation suggest that small, deliberate reframing can reduce rumination and improve task focus. Use that freed focus for the next move. Step 4. 5-minute visualization. If you want to shift odds, your brain needs a target. Close your eyes and imagine a single, specific outcome with sensory detail: the sound, the colors, the environment. Feel the micro steps that lead there. Not the abstract result, the immediate next action and the first ripple it creates. This visualization lasts 5 minutes. Feel the tactile reality of that first action as if you just completed it. Why 5 minutes? Because brief, vivid rehearsals prime motor plans and attention patterns without draining willpower. You're not daydreaming. You're architecting a short, high-resolution mental simulation that nudges your focus in the direction you want. Keep it tight. And by opening your eyes and writing down the smallest next action you can take in 60 seconds. Now, the 60-second rule. This is where strategy turns into pressure testing. Whatever you wrote, the smallest next action, do it immediately, 60 seconds or less. Send the email, write the headline, send the invite, make the 2-second decision that triggers a response. The purpose is to create momentum. Action clarifies reality. Small wins accumulate. Behavior change isn't sexy, it's consistent. Here's a practical sequence you can run right now with me. Grab a notepad and a pen. We'll go step by step. First minute, name your 3 stuck areas and the associated rule for each. If you need more time, give yourself exactly 3 minutes total for the audit, no more. Circle the most impactful rule. Next 2 minutes, construct the flip. Be precise. Avoid fluffy language. If your rule was, I can't ask for more, Flip to, I will ask for a clear next step that costs me the least but signals intent. Say it out loud twice. Next 5 minutes, do the brick release. If you can't sit, stand. Visualize. Drop the brick, replace it with something light. Notice the change in your shoulders. Breathe. 5 minutes more. Full visualization. Run the 5-minute rehearsal. Focus on the first micro step and the immediate ripple. Final 60 seconds. Act. The 60-second action is non-negotiable. No planning, no pretext. Do it now. If the smallest action is writing a subject line to an email, write and send it. If it's 2 lines to a potential collaborator, send them. If it's drafting a headline for a landing page, type it and save. You've just completed a single strategic loop. Reveal a rule, flip it, release the weight that held you, rehearse the desired outcome, and trigger immediate action. That loop changes the calculation inside your head. It shifts what you notice. In minutes, your odds start to bend because the brain begins to surface opportunities consistent with your new script. Let me anchor this with a short example. Imagine a freelance designer who believes clients only hire designers with big agency resumes. That's a rule. The flipped script might be clients hire clear results and urgency, not just resumes. The brick release is letting go of the shame around the size of their past employers. The 5-minute visualization, imagine sending a case study email that highlights measurable impact rather than pedigree. 60 seconds later, they draft the email subject line and send it. Maybe nothing happens. Maybe a conversation opens. Either way, the designer's spotlight now seeks clients who value results. And because of that spotlight, the designer will notice different opportunities, propose bolder packages, and incrementally change the odds of landing better work. We can test this at scale in communities and organizations. Think of teams that operate under a set of inherited rules. We must always wait for budget approval, or we can't pivot without unanimous consent. Those rules filter out experimental moves. When a leader intentionally flips a rule, for example, we will run one small experiment each quarter with existing resources, attention shifts toward micro-experiments, prototypes appear, and a culture of trial replaces paralysis. Incremental experiments create data. Data changes rules. The organization's odds of innovation increase. All of this is framed by 2 constraints you need to keep in mind. First, nobody is promising an instant jackpot. There are no guarantees. Rewriting rules increases probabilities. It opens doors. It doesn't guarantee a windfall. Second, when we use metaphors like energy or vibration, translate them into operational terms. Mood, focus, resource allocation, and the micro actions you take. Those are actionable and measurable. You may be wondering how this looks when stakes are high. Think of a founder preparing for a fundraising round who believes investors only fund founders with a 5-year track record. That belief narrows the founder's search to those types of investors. But if the founder flips the script to investors fund credible demos and clear customer traction, the founder's spotlight shifts. They begin to pitch angels who buy vision and early traction. The founder rehearses a focused demo, drops the brick of perceived inexperience, and sends a short, targeted message to 5 potential angels in 60 seconds. Those tiny moves compound. The odds shift from rejection to conversation. This method isn't just random positivity. It's about probability engineering, changing what you notice to change what you can influence. Focus selects inputs. Inputs alter behavior. Behavior creates outcomes. That chain is the circuit you're reprogramming. Now, let's add a tactical refinement that magnifies the loop, the attention anchor. This is a physical or contextual cue that helps your brain reprioritize what to notice. It can be a single sticky note on your monitor with the flipped script written in bold. It can be a calendar alert titled Small Action Now at 3 specific times each day. It can be a visible whiteboard where you list 3 micro actions you will take that week. The anchor doesn't do the work for you. It reduces friction between intention and action.
When your attention is under siege, and it always is, the anchor nudges you back to the strategic field. Research suggests environmental cues play a disproportionate role in guiding behavior. We don't rely on raw willpower. We design our surroundings to make the desired action easier. If you want to see different opportunities, shape the landscape around where you spend your attention. At this point, you should have a rule selected, a flip crafted, a brick mentally dropped, a 5-minute vision rehearsed, and one 60-second action executed. If you did these steps, you have already moved the odds in your favor. If you haven't yet, pause and run the loop. Don't skip the action. The point is not to feel good about intentions, but to force a new input into the system. The system responds. Let me give you a precise script you can use for the flip the script exercise. Say it like this. I will notice and act on the smallest possible next step that creates movement toward X. Replace X with your target. Income, audience, clarity, connection. Speak it 3 times with breath and conviction. Then ask yourself, what is the smallest single action that could plausibly create movement in the next 24 hours? If the answer takes longer than a sentence, make it smaller.
Write it down, set a timer for 60 seconds, and do it. There are common mistakes people make when they try this. One is replacing a limiting rule with a vague wish. I will be successful. Vague flips produce vague spotlights. Another is making the first action too big. I will rewrite my business model. That's a marathon step. Start with the tiniest thing that carries momentum. The goal is a repeatable loop, not a heroic sprint. A second mistake is neglecting emotion. Logic alone won't sustain the rewrite. If your flipped script feels hollow, anchor it with a small, immediate emotional experience. A short victory, an encouraging note from a peer, or the physical act of closing a browser tab that drains your attention. Emotion primes attention. Pair the cognitive reframing with a brief affective signal to cement the new rule in your lived experience. You should also track what you notice. Keep a single column in your notebook titled New Signals. For 1 week, every time you find yourself aware of an opportunity you earlier would have missed, jot it down in that column. This is evidence gathering. It counters skepticism. It gradually replaces anecdote with pattern. Now let's bring in another quick empirical anchor to underscore why this process works. Placebo-like expectancy and behavior change. In the Housekeepers study, researchers framed the cleaning staff's work in terms of its impact on patient health. Staff told their tasks mattered showed measurable differences in cleanliness and infection control compared to staff who received no such framing. The mechanism is not mystical. It's expectation guiding attention. Attention guiding effort. Effort altering outcome. Your brain operates same as a team's culture. If your internal narrative gives your actions purpose and expected value, you will select and execute different moves. That's why this strategic sequence centers on meaning as well as mechanics. You don't need blind faith. You need a plausible narrative that orients attention and prompts the smallest meaningful action. The story you tell yourself is a tool. Use it. Before we continue into the deeper playbook, let me offer an immediate micro-practice that compounds quickly. The 5-item focus list. At the end of each day, write 5 items you want your attention to seek the next morning. One of those 5 must be a 60-second starter, the smallest action that initiates movement. In the morning, before checking email, spend 2 minutes reviewing those 5 items, say your flipped script, and do the 60-second starter. This ritual takes under 3 minutes and resets the RAS for the day. It's simple, surgical, and it tilts probability by structuring what your brain will prefer to notice. We've laid the foundation: diagnosis, mechanism, empirical anchors, and the first loop of the toolkit. But strategy isn't just about a single loop. It's about sequencing loops, compounding small wins, and deliberately designing an environment that sustains the new rules.
That's where momentum begins to accelerate. And that's where we transition to the next level, turning these individual loops into a tactical playbook you can deploy across projects, teams, and timelines. Before we move into that playbook, take stock for a moment. What rule did you identify? What was your flip? Did you complete the brick release? Did you do the 5-minute visualization? What was your 60-second action? If you did these, you have already altered the neural and behavioral probabilities in your favor. If not, pause now and run the loop. I'll wait while you set the smallest action and execute it. When you return, you'll be ready to learn how to scale this loop into repeatable systems, micro-habits that stack, environment designs that enforce attention, and social frameworks that accelerate accountability. You'll also learn the advanced multiplier, how aligning thought, emotion, and action creates sudden leaps in momentum. That's the quantum shift we use as a metaphor for exponential change. It's not physics, it's probability engineering amplified by coherence. We will also unpack how to avoid the common traps, confusing busy work for progress, making flips that are emotionally inert, or setting anchors that create false signals. You'll get templates for a 10-minute daily ritual and a simple accountability architecture you can use with one friend or in a small team. Right now, though, you've done the hardest part. You stopped playing by rules you didn't write and intentionally edited one of them. That's where strategy pivots. The world is responsive to focus. Your odds have already shifted. Keep them moving by repeating the loop tonight and tomorrow morning. In the next section, we'll convert these shifts into systems that scale, and I'll give you the precise playbook for turning micro-actions into measurable outcomes. Now let's convert those isolated loops into a repeatable system you can run every week, every month, and across an entire project. Strategy without system is hope disguised as planning. System turns reframing into predictable advantage. Sequence the loops, the compound circuit. Start by thinking in circuits, not one-off moves. A circuit is a short chain you run daily. Audit, flip, release, rehearse, act. Run that circuit twice a day for 4 days, and you'll have changed not only what you notice, but how fast you move on it. Run it once a day for 30 days, and you'll have new habits. That's the logic of compound circuits. Frequency beats intensity. Small, consistent repetition reshapes attention and behavior because you don't rely on rare heroic effort. You design predictable inputs until outputs follow. How to schedule your circuits. Morning circuit, 3 to 10 minutes. Quick reality audit entry, recite flip, set 60-second starter. Midday mini reset, 60 to 90 seconds. Review the attention anchor, make the smallest corrective action. Evening reflection, 5 minutes. Note new signals, log micro wins, plan the next morning's 5-item focus. The simplicity matters. Systems survive when they fit into your real day. Don't invent a ritual you can't keep. Design it to survive your worst day. Micro-habits that stack into momentum. Micro-habits are atomic actions that cost almost nothing and deliver immediate feedback. Pick 3 micro-habits tied directly to your strategic lever. Examples: 1-sentence outreach, 60 seconds. Send a concise note to a potential connection. 2-minute position edit, 120 seconds. Tighten a headline or lead paragraph to be clearer about impact. 1 decision closure, 30 seconds. Close a tab, archive an inbox thread, or choose a priority for the next 60 minutes. Stack them in this order: trigger, micro-habit, visual cue. The trigger can be an existing habit, make coffee, a time, 9 a.m., or an environment cue, open laptop. The visual cue is the attention anchor we talked about. A sticky note, a calendar ping with a short label, a background image on your phone that reminds you of the flip. When you stack micro-habits, they compound. 1-sentence outreach begets a reply. A reply leads to a short meeting. The meeting generates data you can convert into the next strategic move. Designing friction and scaffolding. 2 forces dominate behavior: friction and scaffolding. Remove friction for the actions you want to take, add friction to actions you want to stop. Examples: to reduce friction, draft email templates. Keep a quick asks list. Automate reminders tied to your 5-item focus. To add friction, block social apps during focus windows. Move shopping apps off your home screen. Create a small cost to giving up on a microhabit, a bet with a friend. Scaffolding is external support that makes the new behavior easier. Use checklists, templates, visible progress markers, or a teammate who will ask for your 60-second evidence each morning. If you design scaffolding well, your willpower becomes optional. The tactical playbook for projects. Turn this method into a playbook you can run on any project. A playbook is a short document with 4 parts. 1. Strategic lever. 1 sentence describing which rule you are changing and why it matters. 2. Signals to watch. 3 things you will record as evidence that your new rule is working. 3. Micro actions. A list of 5 atomic actions anyone on the project can run in 60 to 300 seconds. 4. Cadence and ownership. Who does the morning circuit, who does the evening log, and when the team reviews progress. Example playbook. Product launch. 1. Strategic lever. We will test 3 quick variants to learn which promise resonates, not wait for perfection. 2. Signals. Click-through rate above baseline, 2 qualitative user comments about clarity, 1 small revenue signal. 3. Micro actions. Write a 1-line value proposition, strip landing page to a single CTA, send 3 targeted messages to likely customers, run a 5-minute user interview, publish an A/B test. 4. Cadence. Morning circuit owner rotates daily. Evening log is owned by product lead. Weekly review with 2 experiments analyzed. This condensation of the method into a playbook makes it operational. It gives permission to run small experiments, and it reorients the team's spotlight away from paralysis toward learn, do, learn. Accountability architectures that actually work. Accountability is not shame, it's signal. The goal is to create consistent feedback loops that reward small acts. Here are 3 accountability architectures you can implement today. 1. The buddy check. Pair up with 1 person. Each morning, send a 1-line proof of your 60-second starter. Each evening, reply with 1 new signal you noticed. The cost of lying is social friction. The benefit is external pressure and immediate feedback. 2. The weekly showcase. Once a week, 3 people present a 2-minute what moved snapshot, 1 micro action, 1 signal, 1 next 60-second starter. Keep it brutal and short. This creates an expectation of output rather than endless plans. 3. The public log. Create a shared document or a private channel where people post their 5-item focus list and 1 completed 60-second action daily. This communal visibility changes the social norm and leans culture toward momentum. All 3 architectures work because they reduce internal argumentation. You don't have to convince yourself in the moment. Someone else will see your evidence and you'll be more likely to act. Measurement that matters. Most teams measure vanity metrics. Measure what changes behavior. Use 3 tiers. Immediate signal, what you can see within 24 hours. Replies, email opens, short wins. Leading indicator, what will predict outcomes in weeks. Consistent micro actions taken, number of experiments run. Lagging outcome, what matters in months. Revenue, retention, influence growth. Create a simple dashboard, 1 column for immediate signals, 1 for leading indicators, and 1 for lagging outcomes. Update the immediate column daily. Review the leading indicators weekly. Let the lagging outcomes breathe across months. This keeps you honest and avoids the trap of mistaking busyness for progress. Troubleshooting when the circuit stalls. If your circuit stall, diagnose at 3 levels. 1. Attention failed. Your anchors aren't working. Increase cue salience. Bigger sticky, louder label. Ask a friend to ping you. Or change the context. Do your morning circuit in a different space. 2. Action failed. The 60-second starter was actually a 20-minute task. Make it smaller. 1 sentence, 1 tap, 1 send. The habit must be nearly impossible to avoid for the first 3 weeks. 3. Meaning failed. The flip felt hollow. Rework the flip into a tactical assertion tied to immediate evidence.
Add a tiny emotional anchor, a 5-second breath, a fist pump, or a short private celebration. If you still struggle, test the accountability architecture. Add a buddy or a public log. Sometimes output needs social soil to grow. The advanced multiplier, alignment as exponential lever. So far, we've described a reliable sequential method. Now add a multiplier, alignment. Alignment is when thought, emotion, and action synchronize toward the same target. When they do, the system's efficiency increases non-linearly. You don't just move faster, you change the kinds of moves you can make. What alignment looks like. Thought, a clear tactical belief about what will work, your flip. Emotion, a felt readiness, not blind optimism, but a calibrated energy that mobilizes effort. Action, consistent micro-behaviors that are visible and measurable. When those three converge, you get what I call a coherence moment. Decisions become easier, response times shorten, and the brain prioritizes signals that speed learning. That's the moment when sudden progress often appears. It may look like a burst of productivity, a conversation that turns quickly into opportunity, or an offer that surfaces unexpectedly. It's not magic, it's probability concentrating into a narrow corridor. How to create alignment intentionally. Synchronize your schedule with your emotional peaks. If you have creative energy in the morning, reserve that window for rehearsals and high-focus scripts. Use micro-rewards to link emotion to action. After a 60-second starter, take a 10-second celebration. Stand, breathe, or check one quick metric. These small affective signals condition the brain to value the action. Make thoughts concrete. Reduce your flip to one clear instruction you can say in 10 seconds. Keep that instruction visible. Examples of alignment generating leaps. Example 1. The founder who gained a meeting. A founder rewired the rule, investors only fund long histories, to investors fund focused demos that solve a real user pain. She practiced a 5-minute demo daily, aligned her nervous energy with a breathing ritual before pitches, and sent concise outreach in 60 seconds. Within 2 weeks, a founder introduced her to an angel who responded within 24 hours. Alignment made the pitch simple and the follow-up immediate. Example 2. The content creator who found a niche. A creator stopped chasing viral randomness and shifted to, I will publish one hyper-specific short video every day that answers one exact question. Emotional investment increased because the creator could see immediate feedback. Micro-actions accumulated. Within a month, the creator's audience grew predictably, not randomly. The odds tilted. The role of calibration. Avoid forced optimism. Alignment is powerful, but it must be calibrated. Overstretching emotional investment into blind optimism creates fragility. Calibration is the steady adjustment of belief to evidence. As you record new signals, update the flip to be more precise and actionable. Don't cling to a flip that stops producing signals. Swap it for a better one based on data. This habit of recalibration is one of the most strategic habits you can build. Sustaining change, the 10-minute daily ritual. This is the mandatory structure you can use every day to keep the new rules dominant. It's short, surgical, and repeatable. The 10-minute daily ritual step by step. Morning segment, total 6 minutes. 1. 1-minute focus review. Glance at your 5-item focus list. Read the 1-sentence flip aloud once. This resets attention. 2. 60-second starter. Perform the smallest action that initiates movement on your top priority. Write a 1-line evidence note immediately after. 3. 3-minute visualization. A concise rehearsal of the next microstep. See the room, feel the action, hear the result. And by naming the precise first thing you will do when you finish this ritual. Evening segment, total 4 minutes. 4. 2-minute evidence log. Open your notebook and write 3 concrete signals you noticed that day.
One must be new, one must be a micro-win, one must be a question to test. 5. 2-minute calibration. Decide whether to keep, tweak, or replace your flip for tomorrow. If you replace it, keep it tactical and plausible. Why 10 minutes? Because consistency beats length. 10 minutes daily is a small enough cost that it becomes non-negotiable, and large enough to steer your attention system daily. Use a visible timer once, then the ritual becomes automatic. Environmental anchors and setup. Your environment is the silent member of the team. Design it deliberately. Simple environmental interventions. Create a dedicated, strategic spot where you do morning circuits. It can be a corner of a desk with the flip on a sticky, a notebook, and a pen. Remove distraction triggers. Close tabs you don't need, mute non-essential notifications, and use website blockers for focus windows. Add positive anchors. A small object that signals readiness. A stone, a card with your flip, a small plant. When you pick it up, your brain receives the cue, this is work that matters. Curating people. The influence filter. Your social circle shapes the rules you keep. Curate people who nudge you toward action. You don't need cheerleaders, you need signal providers. People who will read your evidence and respond with a question that sharpens your next move. How to build an influence filter? Identify 3 people who provide different value: tactical feedback, honest accountability, and emotional support. Share your 5-item focus list weekly with one person and rotate through your circle. For groups, form a weekly 10-minute demo slot where everyone posts one micro-win and one question. Teams, scaling the method without bureaucracy. To apply this method in a team, keep it lightweight. Introduce a minimum viable process. 1. Team flip. Write one shared flip for the team.
This becomes the lens for decisions for an agreed period, 2 weeks. 2. Morning marker. A single person posts the morning 60-second starter in a shared channel each day. 3. Weekly 10-minute sprint review. 3 people present one experiment result each. Synthesize one change to the team flip. Avoid heavy documentation or long meetings. The goal is to shift collective attention quickly, not to create a new administrative burden. Common objections and how to answer them. Isn't this just positive thinking? No, this is tactical attention design paired with immediate action. It's not denial, it's the deliberate selection of what your limited attention will find. The flips are specific commands for cognition, and the 60-second starters force behavior. What about deep work? This method complements deep work. Use microcircuits to find and clear obstacles. Allocate larger blocks for execution on projects. Microhabits feed the deep work sessions with clarity and momentum. If I fail, does that mean the method doesn't work? Failure is data. The system is designed to extract small, fast feedback. If something fails, you either missized the action, misaligned the flip, or missed a social anchor. Adjust, don't quit. Evidence collection. How to gather proof that this is working. For 21 days, keep a simple log. Each day record the flip you used, the 60-second starter you executed, one immediate signal you noticed, one tiny win or failure you experienced. At the end of 3 weeks, analyze patterns. Which flips led to more immediate signals? Which starters produced replies? This is not anecdote collection for vanity. It's pattern recognition. If you see a consistent pattern, double down. If not, iterate. Templates you can copy immediately. Flip template. Old rule, I must to this. New flip, I will notice and act on the smallest step that moves me toward this. 60-second starter template. Action, 1-line description. Evidence, 1-line result you will record. If no result, next step, what you will do to follow up. 5-item focus template. Daily. Top goal for this period. 1. 60-second starter. 2. Item. 3. Item. 4. Item. 5. Item. Accountability message template. Buddy. Morning check. Flip. 1 line. 60-second starter. 1 line.
Evidence will be posted tonight. Scaling beyond the individual. Culture of small bets. When organizations adopt this habit, they create cultures of small bets rather than large, fearful bets. Encourage teams to run many cheap experiments, harvest learning, and update the rulebook quickly. Data trumps dogma. Small bets create data faster than long theatrical moves. Ethics and limits. Be clear, this method tilts probabilities. It doesn't promise outcomes. Don't use these tools to manipulate or mislead. Translate metaphors like energy and vibration into practical work, mood regulation, attention management, allocation of time and resources.
If your work touches medical, legal, or financial areas, treat the flips as behavioral experiments, not professional advice. When in doubt, consult a qualified professional. A short guided ritual to follow now, 3 minutes. If you can, pause and do this mini practice with me. It's a condensed version of the method you can run anywhere. Minute 0 to 0:30, breath and reset. Sit or stand, take 2 slow breaths. Minute 0:30 to 1:30, flip aloud. Say one clear flip that challenges your most limiting rule. Minute 1:30 to 2:30, micro visualization. Imagine the first micro action in sensory detail. Minute 2:30 to 300. Execute the 60-second starter immediately. If it's a message, write one line. If it's a decision, state it and act. This micro ritual rewires attention for the next window. Do it twice a day for a week and record what changes. When the stakes are highest, a founder's framework. If you're in a high-stakes moment, reduce the method to 3 things. 1. Clarity of lever. What one rule change would open the most paths? 2. Rapid testing. Run 3 micro-experiments in 5 days. 3. Evidence triage. Accept only data that reduces decisions. Founders shy away from small tests because they fear distraction. The opposite is true. Small tests create clarity, and clarity reduces wasted effort. You don't need more ideas, you need a faster test cycle. Closing the loop. How to know you've shifted the odds. You don't get a certificate that the odds have shifted. Instead, you notice 2 patterns. New signals appear. Different opportunities, conversations, or evidence show up that were invisible before. Your cost of action decreases. You take the small steps sooner and more often. If those 2 things occur, your probability landscape has changed. Keep running circuits and stacking micro-habits. Over months, the cumulative effect shows in outcomes you measure. Final challenge: rewrite one belief, take one action now. Here is the concrete finish line. Do this right now. 1. Pick one limiting rule you identified in your reality audit. 2. Write a flip using the template. I will notice and act on the smallest step that moves me toward X. 3. Set a timer for 60 seconds and execute the smallest possible action that matches that flip. 4. Drop a one-line proof in the comments saying, "Changing now," if you've already committed earlier. Or if you haven't, post your one-line flip now. Transform your strategy. Instantly shift the odds in your favor. That phrase is not a slogan. It is a command for the next 10 minutes of your attention. When you change the rulebook inside your head and follow it with immediate, tiny action, you change the probabilities you face. You don't need magic. You need a system that makes the world respond differently to you. If this landed for you, here's the one next thing to do. Download the worksheet linked in the description. It contains the reality audit template, the flip template, the 10-minute ritual checklist, and a 1-week accountability log you can use with a buddy or a small team. Use it. Share it with someone who resists long plans but needs a practical way forward. Go now. Rewrite one rule. Take one micro-action. The odds are not fixed. They are negotiable. Transform your strategy and watch how the world begins to show you different doors. Subscribe for more tactical plays you can run today, and share this with someone who needs permission to edit their rulebook.